welcome to our story innovation today, all based on the story of the sword and the stone. Do you remember we did it earlier with King Arthur? That's right. Well, we're going to change it to a completely different version of the story. Now, I've got our story that we created earlier. Here's our story map. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into our own story. Nothing to do with the sword and the stone, but I'm going to use some of the ideas to help me create our own story. Are you ready? For this, I've just got my pen and I've got some little post-it notes. Do you remember just like we did the 3 little pigs? So I'll cover up each picture as I draw something new. So let me get my first sticker. So with the sword and the stone, it started off with Kay and Arthur, but I'm not going to have Kay and Arthur in my story, so I'm going to cover them up. This story is going to be based on some of my children. So I'm going to draw Sophie and Henry, the 2 little ones. So let's draw them. Sophie better have the long hair. She's the little one. Oh, she hasn't got a nose. Give her a nose and a mouth. And here's Henry, her big brother. Now, this one is all based on the snow because we've got so much snow at the moment. So one cold day, Sophie and Henry decided they wanted to go and play in the snow. So they put on their welly boots. You definitely need welly boots when you go in the snow, don't you? So let's cover up. We're not going to have a horse. The horse is not coming into the story. So they pop on their welly boots and out they go into the lovely, fresh snow. Their welly boots just like this. Really, really good for the snowy conditions. So they popped on their welly boots and off they went. They knew that if they walked far enough, they would meet all their friends with all their sledges and they'd be able to have a sledging competition. How cool would that be? Zooming down the hill like some of you have been doing. So off they went and they walked through that lovely fresh snow. It was just like powder and they could hear it crunch as they took each step. But suddenly, Henry shouted, "Oh no, we've forgotten our sledge." Oh, Henry felt really sad. Let's give him a sad face. He was really rather cross. He says, "How am I going to sledge with my friends when I've left my sledge at home?" So let's do the string that you'd hold on to. Let's do a big cross through it. He was most upset. So Sophie and Henry had a little chat about who would be sent back home to get the sledge. They probably did paper, scissors, stone, didn't they, to find out who would have to go home. And of course, little Sophie was sent home to get the sledge, which they'd left in the garage. Oh dear. So off Sophie went, crunching through the snow. She was quite happy though. She liked the little adventure. Put her welly boots on here. Through she went, crunch, 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 crispy, crispy snow. Here she is. Let's give her her arms. They're her welly boots. They look perfect. Her long hair. Quite happy that she had set off to go and get the sledge. So off Sophie went, trudging her way back home through the lovely fresh snow, when suddenly she looked into the distance and she saw something that looked like a sledge sticking out of the snow. So over Sophie went, and she was right. In this great big mound of snow, she saw a sledge poking out. Let's do our mound of snow. There wasn't a sword this time. We're going to have a sledge. I'm going to do my sledge sideways. A great big sledge. It looked like a sledge from the olden days, one of those lovely wooden ones. Here it is on its side. This is where you'd normally see it. She saw a sledge sticking out of the snow. She said, "Do you know what? I don't really want to walk all the way home. I think I'll just get this sledge out of the snow and I'll take it back to Henry. He won't mind. A sledge is a sledge," she thought. So she gave it a wiggle. She gave it a shake. She dug with her hands and then out popped this amazing wooden sledge. Wow, she thought, this is great. So Sophie got the sledge and she dragged it through the snow, just pulled it along. Let's cover up our next little picture. Oh, I need 2 hands. Get my little post-it note. So here's Sophie. Here she is with her long hair and her welly boots on. Got to have welly boots. And in her hand down here, she's pulling the fantastic sledge. Here it is. I'll colour it in to make it a bit clearer for you. All the way back to Henry. She gets back to Henry and says, Henry, look, I've got this amazing sledge. Let me show you. So here they are together. Sophie and Henry having a look at this. Henry's going down a bit lower so he can have a look at this amazing sledge. Where are we going to draw the sledge? Let's draw the sledge here. Looking at this amazing sledge. Mustn't forget his hair. Okay, Henry said, where did you get that sledge from? That's not our sledge. And he said, no, well, I found it on the way home. So I didn't make it all the way home. I thought I'll just get this sledge out of the snow. He said, that sledge has been there for years and years and years. No one has ever managed to get that sledge out. Suddenly, all the other boys and girls that were on the hill for sledging heard them talking about this sledge. They all came running over because no one had ever pulled the sledge out before. So here are all the other boys and girls, absolutely amazed that Sophie had managed to pull this sledge out. They said, you did not pull that out. She said, I did. She said, show us again where you found it. So all the girls and boys went with Sophie and Henry, and Sophie pulled the sledge as well. And she said, look, I found it here in this great big mound of snow. I found it. She said, look, I'll put it back in and you can see just how easy it is to pull out. So Sophie buried the sledge back in the snow and she said, look, boys and girls, this is where I found it. So the boys and girls all wanted to have a go at trying to get the sledge out. They said, you know what, we'll have a go. We'll see if we can get the sledge out. So they gave it a wobble and they were digging with their hands to get it out of the snow. But the girls and boys could not get the sledge out. Sophie said, girls, boys, it's so easy. Look, I'll show you how I got it out. So Sophie did her little bits of digging and she did her pulling, and out popped this magical sledge. She had special powers, I think Sophie did. So what they did, here's Sophie again pulling the sledge out. Here she is with her lovely hair. Here's the sledge. Sophie had the powers to get it out. They took the sledge back to the really big hill and they started having their sledging competitions, and they whizzed whoosh down the hill and whoosh down the hill, and you will never believe who won the sledge competition. Who do you think managed to go the fastest? Do you think it was Henry? Do you think it was Sophie? Do you think it was any of the other girls and boys? You're right, it was when Sophie was on the sledge. So here is the sledge. And here is Sophie sitting on her sledge, holding on tight with her hands. And she was crowned the sledging champion. Should we give her a crown? Yeah, a bit like King Arthur, he got a crown. Well, I think Sophie can have a crown, and she also likes medals. So let's put a medal around her neck. There she is. And that's the end of our story. I wonder what we could call this story. Should we call it like the magic sledge? I think so. That would be a really good name. I wonder if you could have a go at innovating your story of the Sword and the Stone. Maybe see if you can pop some little sticky notes on your pictures and come up with a completely new story. And then I'll challenge you to write a name, a title for your story, a bit like this magical sledge. So have fun innovating yours. I can't wait to see what you get up to.